I'm Philip, and here are some of my friends. We went to high school together in Ventura, California, and graduated in the class of 2012. We always kind of perceived that we were a pretty eclectic group, but religion was never something that we explicitly discussed. And that's why I thought this would be a good opportunity to go and get their individual viewpoints.
My name is Dylan Horowitz.
My name's Tanner Shelton.
Okay, my name's Anika Miller.
My name is Kevin Coombs, Kevinkunes. Forget that. Anytime you'd like, I can always tell you again.
I still think I probably believe in some of the creeds, the core tenets of Christianity. However, certain details and teachings that I was raised with in the church, I think I've evolved a bit from those things.
I don't identify with any religion, and I would say that I am pretty heavily agnostic, to the point that most agnostics would probably just think of me as an atheist.
I would say Protestant Christian. I grew up in a Presbyterian church, but I feel like I'd be at home in most.
I was raised in but I have to say that very loosely. I did not keep kosher. My parents didn't try to make me keep kosher. They didn't really keep kosher either. However, up until high school, I went to Jewish night school where I practiced for my bar mitzvah, and I had a bar mitzvah.
My mom's side of the family is very more socially conservative, I would say, more Christian. My grandpa, in fact, my mom's dad, was a minister for many years. He spent 35 years doing that, so a long time. So her side of the family, very conservative, very religious. On the other hand, my dad's side of the family is from Canada, so very, very liberal socially in a lot of ways, very progressive, and very much agnostic and not very much religious. So because of that, I got a very kind of interesting background. I was in Christian school from K to 8.
Yeah, my parents are also not religious. I, to be honest, don't really fully know their own spiritual beliefs. I couldn't tell you if they're atheist or agnostic, or if they believe in some higher being or spiritualness or whatever. But it was a very I guess you could say secular upbringing, and that it just wasn't really spoken about. I think personally, I was totally felt free to pursue a religion if I ever felt like it. It was one of those things it was almost kind of the idea of separation of church and state. It's a separate religion is an individual choice is kind of I think how my family views it.
I guess casually Christian, is that a word I could use? We went to church every Sunday, and we took Easters and Christmas seriously. I don't know, prayed before bed and before every meal, and talked about God as if he was a real thing.
If someone's Jewish, I know I'm probably going to be able to get along with them before even knowing them, because I know even if they're very religious or not, they have these same kind of foundations that, a Jewish mom kind of instills on everyone. Even how religious you are, if you have a Jewish mom, you have a Jewish mom. In college, there's these college Jewish houses that, host a lot of Jewish events and holidays and services. And so I went to one of those my sophomore year. I connected with one of the campus rabbis. And even though I was not getting more religious, however, I loved the environment.
And then high school had a huge, profound effect on me too. I, for the first time, was exposed to an environment where my friends weren't all, how do I say this in the most political correct way, white, Protestant, Christian, and wealthy, because that's the environment private Christian school was. I didn't know people who came from different backgrounds, and first year of high school, one of my best friends was Jewish. Did you get this wide, variety of faiths and agnostics and atheists and all this stuff? And that really opened up my worldview, and I think that allowed me to be, hey, this thing I was sort of taught at Christian school, that this is the one way we need to go, is not necessarily true. Those core tenets, I think, are universal, are good, aiming and striving to do good. But I think that also profoundly influenced me, as well as my actual childhood upbringing, was that exposure to different cultures and, religions in high school. Coming
from a standpoint of kind of free choice, I think when I in terms of my worldview, in terms of when I think about people raising children, or when I look at other religions where it's very I don't want to say extreme, but in the way that people are raised from an early age to go to church and go to Sunday school and recite prayers and stuff like that. To me, that is almost and when I think about it, it's like you never got a chance to even this. And so I think to me, like, it's very it's very like Brave New World almost.
Like exactly this. You asked me to, hey, do you want to talk about religion stuff? And my answer was yes, literally all the time. And that's largely because I am told to always be ready to give a reason for the hope that I have in the book of Philippians. And more than that, I think that naturally I'm an introvert, but I have to put serious effort into making myself an extrovert because that's where I can do the most good.
So if I meet someone, if one of my good friends is very religious, he's born Christian, and he's very religious, and on almost like on an opposite level than me, but I guess being Jewish, but I don't want to. This is not exclusive to Judaism, but I would say I'm very accepting.
I was raised in an environment that was all everyone was the same, and I went to a church. I went the same Christian school and the same church. They were one affiliated thing. So I think that really affected that a lot. But I think my upbringing to be good to people and to like be willing to listen and understand and empathize where other people came from allowed me to kind of get over that initial kind of awkwardness of like, oh, this is different, and allow myself to be open and listen to other people. And that's one thing I think I've really tried to remain is open and understanding and being able to see, where all these, different backgrounds and an ability to just learn and be curious about it, I think was ingrained in me, and to like understand where people come from. So it was fascinating to learn. I knew nothing about Judaism. I knew nothing about Buddhism, which is what two of my friends were, dear friends of mine were growing up. And it really allowed me, to expand and, understand those things. So, yeah.
I think that I definitely, for some people, it's like a really big issue that I can't identify with believing in a God or some higher force. But I would say for the most part, it hasn't been an issue. I think, especially, I would say in California, in kind of the liberal coastal areas of California, especially with people that are going to college, it's not that big of a deal. And you can have serious conversations with people about their religious identity without it becoming an issue. Sometimes there are issues political issues, which to me should be more of a political based argumentation, in that you talk about the rights of individuals versus the rights of the state. And a lot of people that have a religious belief will start bringing in that kind of reasoning, and there's just nothing I can contend with.
When I wasn't very Christian, I had to think that all other religions were wrong. And now that I am more Christian, I don't have to think that anymore. I get to think that there's something right about all of them, even if it's not completely right. A good example of that is I have a friend who's a Mormon, and it took me a while to I don't know, I never really got Mormonism, if that makes sense, but the more I hung around this one person, his name was Joseph Castro, he got married recently, more I hung around him and the more I figured out about him, it was easier to see, okay, there are things that that I need to seriously learn from you. Not only about the way you live, but about God.